Hi fellow sewers, it's Diane from Spencer Ogg Sewing Patterns. Just bobbing on for a very quick little video on making your own piping. Now there is no need to make your own piping, you can buy it, it's widely available at haberdashery stores in various colours and widths. But there isn't always the right colour available, so I just thought I'd give you a brief how-to on how to make your own. So make it cheaply, simply and easily from your chosen fabric. All you need is a strip of your chosen fabric and some piping cord. Now I use 3mm or 1/8 of an inch piping cord for most things. I tend to find the thicker ones are just too bulky for the bags and wallets that I personally make, but it is down to your own preference. If you're going to need a piece of piping that will be used on the straight, so you're not going to go around any corners or any curves, then you can cut your strip of fabric on the straight, nice and easy. But if you need to go around a corner or a curve, you want to angle it round a corner and have it nice and smooth, then you'll need to cut your strip on the bias, and that means diagonally. And that gives it a bit of stretch and a little bit of elasticity. And that'll get you around corners nice and smoothly. Now I have to admit that often I buy pre-made bias piping because I am truly a lazy sewer, and I also don't like cutting great chunks out of the middle of a nice piece of fabric I've been saving. But needs must when you can't find exactly the shade of piping that you want. Now the width of the strip needs to be more than double the width of the finished piping that you require, because we need to accommodate the bulk of the piping cord inside it. So I tend to cut a strip 3 or 4 times the final width of the piping I require and then trim it down to size afterwards. I find it much easier to handle that way. And bear in mind that if you're using a really thick piping cord, you're going to need to allow even more in the width for the extra bulk of the cord. So if you want a 1/2 inch piping cord finished, then cutting a 1 inch strip of fabric isn't going to be enough, because once you put that in there, it's going to take up some of that width itself just by the piping. So cut it wider and then trim it down to fit afterwards. So personally today I need 1/2 inch piping for my next project. So I'm going to cut a strip of fabric at 1.5 inches wide. I might cut it at 2 inches wide, but 1.5 is pretty generous. That's 3 times the finished width I desire. Cut the strip the length you need for your project. Grab a bit of piping cord and cut that to length. You should cut that a tad longer. And then flip it so it's wrong side up. Add your piping cord to the centre, and then what I like to do is just tack it at both ends so it doesn't drift off anywhere. So I'll do that first. Make sure it's all nice and flat. Then I'm going to fold that in half with wrong sides together and match up those long raw edges. Let's find some clips. Clip that in place. We want the cord to be positioned right down at the bottom near the fold. So using a zipper foot or a piping foot, we're going to stitch close to the cord all the way along the strip. So a piping foot is really easy to use and will help you achieve a totally even distance from the cord all the way along that strip. It's quite wide, as you can see. It's got a hole in the centre, and if you flip it over, it has 2 grooves in the bottom, and the needle passes through the centre hole and the grooves hold the cord nicely in place. So you can see the cord will pass through the groove. And the needle will fall into the centre hole. They may look complicated, but give it a go. They're really easy, and most domestic machines come with one free anyway, so you might as well give it a try. So let's stitch down the side. Put the foot on my machine. So I've just positioned the cord in the groove to the left hand side of the needle. The needle's passing through the centre. Keep that piping cord tucked into the fold on the side. There we go, and there's my piping cord. So now you can trim it down to the width you want. So for example, if I want 1/2 inch, I can just put it on my cutting board, and I can use a rotary cutter or my scissors to just cut it down to the 1/2 inch width. And when you attach the piping cord to your project, use the piping foot again to help maintain a stitch line which is the perfect even distance from the cord. So you can clip that on. Obviously I haven't trimmed it down, but you can clip that on. You can snip it going around the corners to help you go around the corners. But if you clip that on and then use your piping foot again, that will help you to maintain that nice even distance again, and always be the same measurement from the piping. Just gives a really nice finish. So I hope you found the video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more regular helpful sewing videos. And do take a look at my website at www.spencerog.com for all my patterns and tutorials.